Hopefully you know who it is by now. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started. I think are we getting more seats in the gallery? Okay, thank you for that. And I did steal a chair from here myself, but looks like we're gonna have enough. So last night, huh? Wow. That was quite a good morning. That was quite a 6, 7, 8. Happy 6, 7, 8 hours. I know historically you go to those, and when I do not stay out past 9. So please don't leave the room today. We're going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. I know that there's still some housekeeping occurring around, but please, let's just press on. I do this forum, but I know that we've got to do a roll call anyway, so. Good morning, Mr. Burns.
Ready?
Are you ready, guys?
Whitney Hilliard.
I'm here.
Kyle Russell.
Here.
And Order.
Order in the room, please.
Can we have just a minute? Anastasia Wilford, Kate Prather, Michelle Wigington. Here. Jesse Coward. Here. Jeff Miller.
Here.
Scott Talley. Aaron Ramos. Billy Pierce. Jody Cole.
Here.
Jody Cole.
Jody.
I'm here. I'm here. Okay. Paul Thompson.
Here.
Nathan Polsky.
Here.
Daniel Bledsoe.
Here.
Jocelyn Hankey. Here. Trey Holcomb
Is on his way.
Amanda Gibbs.
Present.
Mike Dooling.
Walk in.
Is that Mike Dooling I heard?
No, Mike's not gonna be here.
He's not.
No, that's Coogan.
Elizabeth Miller. Hannah Kennedy. Mike Coogan.
Here.
Stephen Haskett. Ted Brown.
Here.
Carol Unsicker. Here. Kevin Hale.
Here.
Jacob Bradley.
Here.
Janae LeBlanc. Patrick Mitchell.
Here.
Paul Dar.
Here.
Nathan Garza.
Here.
Nolan Schmidt.
Here.
Lex Green.
Here.
Renee Perez.
Here.
Joe Roberts.
Here.
Joe Burns.
Here.
Darren Pollock. Stephanie Berlin. Here. Austin Hugan.
Here.
Nikki Brashear. Here. Frank Lozano.
Present.
Bernard Johnson.
Here.
David Marino.
Here.
John Wilford.
Present.
Colby Micey. Jack Westbrook.
Here.
Is there anyone present now who did not hear their name or who has walked in since I passed their name? Okay.
Anastasia.
Yes?
Kate. Yeah, Kate Morgan. Ted asked me to come.
Do what?
Ted Brown. Oh, you're not?
Okay, so there are some new people here apparently, but these seats right here are for select members only.
Okay, so where do I sit?
So it's a gallery back there with some open seating.
You just brought
Just not any tables.
Oh, that's fine, like, where do I sit? It's fine. Like, where do I go?
Back there. where there's seats. Yeah, I can put it back out.
They weren't set up anymore.
Anyone else wishing to speak on this amendment?
Yes,
Mr. Harris.
I'll speak, Billy Pierce, SD7, Harris County. I rise to speak against the amendment. I think that this is something that we can handle in the forum. In between meetings, there's plenty of time between now and the selection of the next meeting location to consider that. It's well considered, it's well worth considering. But when I look at the agenda that's laid out, it's a fairly ambitious agenda for us to get through today so that we can get to this evening's events. And this issue doesn't need to be considered at this meeting. It's well recognized, and I'm glad that you brought it up. But there's plenty of time to consider this and leave us time to get to the issues that are already on the agenda.
Anyone else wishing to speak on amending the agenda for that item? Mr. Westbrook?
I'd like to call a question.
Okay, the question has been called.
Second.
Thank you. Any objections to calling the question? All right, any objection to the amendment? All in favor of the amendment? All opposed? It fails. Thank you. All right, so we're back to the main motion, which is to adopt the agenda as presented. Any objection at this point to adopting the agenda? Okay, it's adopted. On we go. To approval of the previous meeting's minutes. Ms. Wilford, whenever you're.
I realized it was late, but the minutes got posted to Ignite last night. It was a pretty simple and straightforward meeting. But I move to adopt the minutes as they are posted to Ignite.
I second.
All right, the previous meeting's minutes have been moved and seconded. Any objection to adopting or approving the previous meeting's minutes? That would be August's meeting. Hearing no objections, the minutes are approved. Thank you. All right, on to officer reports. Mr. Wolfer, are you by chance taking time?
I know, but yeah.
All right. What's going on?
We be tripping, you know.
Okay. All right, so I did not put out my outline as I normally do. So I'm just going to talk through a few things. This was kind of a relatively uneventful quarter for the most part. With regard to personnel and organization, I think we haven't had any new staff members come on board. We, I think, had one outstanding county chair appointment. I think that may still be in progress. So I've done the things I need to do with that, aside from signing the agreement that the county chairs also have to sign. I don't remember what county it is though. Contracts. I have been continuing to work on the state convention. Jody and I actually made a second trip to Corvus for a site visit that was very productive. And I am happy to report that I finally got to sign a contract for the American Bank Center for convention events itself. It is not a hotel, so there will be hopefully 3 hotels that we will be reserving room blocks with. And that's finalized this coming week. And we will start putting all of that stuff together. Thank you, Austin, for your work so far on the program. There you go. On the convention website, we'll have some more stuff as we go, and Jesse and everybody else who's involved in that.
Just be my computer.
It's looking pretty good. We were able to get the negotiation quite a few concessions and a lower rate on the convention space. I think about $7,000 from what the original committee had come up with. So Thank you, Jeff. I know that that was one that you were spearheading, so I think it's gonna be great. Looking forward to it. Really nice space. That time of year should be really beautiful. The weather is clear down in Corpus. It's got a beautiful ocean view, and I'm excited about it. Hope to see lots of people there. Outreach and media for this quarter, not a lot of stuff with media. We did get a couple press releases out, I think. I know the most recent one was picked up by someone and published. I don't remember who it was. That might come out in the communications report later. Tribune Festival, yes, was in September there in Austin. I attended that. David Robertson, also from Travis County, was able to attend some of that. Was able to make some connections with people who are wanting to run for office as libertarians. Sarah Stogner, who some of you may have, well, all of you probably met last night if you were here. She ran for the GOP nomination in 20 for Railroad Commission, and has decided, after considering it for several months now, she's decided to seek our nomination for Railroad Commission. I expect that she'll be here with us tonight as well. She wasn't originally able to, even though she did buy a ticket. She has, because she's now so committed to getting this nomination, she has canceled her plans, and will be here with us tonight as well. So hopefully you all get a chance to visit with her. So anyway, that is exciting news. So another statewide candidate that is super important for our existence, obviously. Other political stuff, Forward Party, they're not gonna get ballot access, obviously. For the same reasons that we definitely can't lose it, because there's no way to get back on. So not really worried about any third-party competition for us at this time, but they are still legitimately political parties, particularly in Texas. They do have a lot of widespread support. They are embattled over whether or not they're centrists. That's their problem, not ours, but however we can benefit from their confusion, we will. Development, obviously, we have handcuffed Jenny for a while here with all the CRM stuff. Some of it out of our control, and some of it we are working on. So Jenny and I communicate regularly about different ways that we can do development. I know that she'll report later about a successful donor cultivation that she's been working on. So appreciate that. Other stuff, I'll have a legal update later today, but know that that is ongoing. Both lawsuits, one of them has some significant developments I'll share later. Been to a couple county events, those are always fun. Thank you to Montgomery County. I think that I probably see you guys maybe more than I see my own county right now. Thank you for that. Fun stuff. Obviously, we continue to communicate with the anti-death penalty advocate groups. Another one that has come on board for us is the conservatives' concern about the death penalty. And they are closely tied with the Texas Coalition to abolish the death penalty. So I've had some engagement with them, actually physically have been tabled with them at one point. And so very briefly at Freedom Fest, actually, they had a table there. So continuing that, as a coalition partner, we want to continue to share their stuff and support their efforts. And as you know, there have been some really tragic things that have happened in Texas with regard to killing people over the last few weeks. So let's continue to monitor that. We did get our national platform appointee sorted out. We do still need to appoint someone to the National Credentials Committee. So we don't need to take care of that today, but just know that we need to initiate a process, which we can do on the forum, to take nominations. as I explained in the forum for the platform committee, we typically have just taken those who did not get the appointments by the LNC, anyone who applied from Texas, and no one applied for credentials that didn't get picked by the LNC. So we're basically starting fresh with no one to consider at this point for credentials. We do need to make that appointment no later than December 31st. Who here has served on that before?
I have.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Very important job, and
I'll
as
do it again if anybody wants to nominate.
not right now.
Let's get that done right now.
Thank you.
He might change his mind.
We got a head start, but not right now.
I'll give it now.
So we should move then to let Billy just do it, right? Before he changes his mind.
Right, but it's not on the agenda right now, so we'll do it on the forum.
I'll go right now.
There you go. You can do it right now, just on the forum. National delegate apportionment, I don't know, 'cause I know I've received the report, but I haven't looked at it in a while and I don't have it memorized, but I feel like we get 77. The last I looked, we get 77 delegates from Texas. I don't think that number has increased. But we can double check that. And I have asked Beth Best, our Region 7 alternate, for a report that I could present to you guys. It would be later on the agenda. I haven't received that yet from her, but I will continue to try to get that so that I can share anything with you. And whatever I don't get from her today, I can pass along by email or in the forum to you. That's all I have. I don't know how much time I have left.
6.5 minutes.
Okay. Any questions? All right, thank you.
Point of information,
Yes, here.
where is the state dates on, for the convention?
Oh, yes, that's a great question. April 12th through 14th.
It's been going out in our newsletter.
We will,
Talking about like all the sub-state convention dates too.
do you want the entire series of dates for convention? You just needed the state ones? Okay, yeah, April 12th through 14th. We are hoping to also have some activities, scheduled activities the day after, because a lot of people will need to stay all day on Sunday, and a lot of them are going to be spending the night anyway. So we're looking at doing some things extending it to Monday as well before people actually go home. So again, we'll start promoting all of that stuff as soon as we can. I'm hopeful to have it out within the next 2 weeks, if not sooner. So. All right. Yes.
Any idea when you'll have room blocks available?
I intend to finalize those contracts this week. There are 3 of them, and there's some moving parts there. But as soon as we get the contract signed, typically within a couple days, they can get us the links. So I can't make that prediction because it requires work on the hotel's part as well, but it will be soon. Thank you for asking. And I just want to point out too, as opposed to the room blocks that we get for our Slec meetings, the ones that we get for our Slec meetings are called courtesy blocks, and that means we are not on the hook for any, we're not contracted or have any actual obligations to the hotels for these. That is because we actually are using other space. We're contracting for other space, and so they do that as a courtesy, and usually we get 10 room increments. That is not the case for convention. We will be on the hook for hotel rooms, which is why it's a very tricky formula to put together to determine how many we need. So keep that in mind. We're going to try to get you some tiered options, and they're all going to be very convenient, within half a mile to 0.6 miles from the actual convention center. Super easy, straight down the road. Like you can see them all on the line. So it'll be easy, but just keep in mind we will be obligated to use those hotel rooms. So I would appreciate your support in getting those hotel rooms sold. Anything else? All right, thank you. Mr. Russ, you can do it from there unless you.
Yeah, it's been a pretty slow quarter. We're still working on, tweaking the website, and other, things with the CRM, Nation Builder. Hopefully we'll have the convention website up here soon once we get all the final info. Just if you have county events, please submit them through the calendar form, the link at the top of the calendar events page, so we can add them to our calendar, because the calendar looks pretty light for the next month or so. So any event you guys are doing in your county meetings, meetups, charity things, whatever, submit them, because that helps people come to our state party website looking to get involved. And when they see the calendar blank, they think we're not doing anything, but I know events are happening, so see them pop up on Facebook once in a while. So please submit them to the website. Yeah, that's all I really have. So, Carol?
I did submit, but I don't see it on here.
Okay, yeah, I know a few came in the last day or two.
I did, like,
It's a manual process, so I do have to,
okay, thank you.
I'll get them added today.
Thank you.
So going over to Nation Builder, I'm painfully aware that the website building portion of Nation Builder is completely different than, all the other simple, easy retail website building. Yeah. Have y'all found anyone with expertise, know-how, competence on building a website within Nation Builder? Because we're struggling with it in Harris County. We've been on Nation Builder for a long time. It's
No, we just kind of all learned as we go, all of us on the IT team.
okay.
So that's,
When Andrew does his report, that may be something you can address too. Did you hear the question, Mr. Emily? About whether or not we have some sort of like support and guidance through Nation Builder in terms of developing a website specifically. So,
we do have a technical contact there.
Oh, great.
Yeah, with the comments or the.
I think it's included in our.
yeah,
But,
Andrew can speak to that.
If you can get a resource, we'd like to improve ours if we could even pay a little bit. But we just
Okay,
can't figure it out. Thanks.
Mr. Wilson.
If I could address a little bit out of procedure, if I could address real quick the question previously. I was the one who built all the website templates and email templates for when we previously had Nation Builder. So I have experience in that. I don't necessarily know that I have the bandwidth to completely manage and count these things.
Of course, yeah.
But I would love to, if you want to get together later, I can do some Q&A.
Just get us a decent starting point.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks.
But let's not lose the thread, and we're gonna talk to our account manager and see if their contract allows them to work with our counties.
Mr. Westbrook, you have a question to the board.
This may not be in your purview, but since you mentioned IT things, I'm gonna ask you if it belongs to operations or somebody else, we can take a little later in the report back. So one of the things that I ran into was the issue with, the email fiasco on the forum. And do you know what the problem is, and do you have an estimated, fixed date for that?
I think somebody from operations will be able to speak.
Yeah, that'll come from the operations.
For my preference work.
But yeah, it is, we are aware of it. That'll be addressed.
Anyone else have questions for Mr. Rosa? All right, thank you. Madam Secretary?
Not much has changed. I am ready to start receiving applications for nomination. Deadline for that is December 11th at 6 p.m. And following that, I'm ready to get the information distributed to the counties about the district conventions that they are going to be responsible for organizing in 2024. That's what I got going. That's it. Any questions?
In regards to the district convention, if you're close to Dallas County, we have a spot reserved for the district convention. So Colin and Denton, Tarrant, all of you guys can come to us. We got a spot for us. That we can split. We're gonna be at the drawing board in Richardson. So it's a nice central location for everybody.
All right, thank you. Anastasia, you actually reminded me of something I should have said when I was speaking earlier with regard to the nomination applications. We're not gonna talk about filing fees necessarily. They are required. They are now considered an eligibility requirement, and the Secretary of State has the authority to remove people from the ballot for not paying them. There are still lots of open questions and lots of gray areas, and we are waiting for more advisories from the Secretary of State, which they typically are terrible at providing. Hopefully, they will continue to be terrible at it because that works to our advantage under these circumstances. In the meantime, people who are filing for nomination, that window opens today, it closes December 11th. I am very much hoping that I can be in Austin as I was previously on that day to help facilitate getting those. And Ted, you've done it too. Kevin was there. Hang on a second.
I was there for an hour and 10 minutes while they counted my
Yes. That was
$3,125 bills.
Fun times for sure. We obviously, people need to be mailing those. It needs to go, not only go to me or to the secretary, but also to me, because technically the law is you file with the chair. If you're running for a county office, there's a table, the Secretary of State puts out a table that I actually am disputing about who you file with. The bottom line is if you are getting your nomination at the county convention, your county chair needs to know that because they're the ones that have to put that on the agenda. So I would recommend anybody who's filing, whether it's you or someone you know, let them know to file copies with both the state party as well as the county party, just so that everybody is aware. The fee, however, does not go to us. The fees either go to the county judge or to the Secretary of State. So.
To go into the general fund.
Correct.
Thanks for the poll tax.
Yes. So, as far as, I think I've talked to Ted about this, some other people, but we should not be encouraging or discouraging officially anyone from paying or anyone about paying the fee, whether or not they should pay the fee. And it's for the candidates to decide for themselves. Obviously, they need to understand what the law is, which I'm not sure how we can actually understand the law the way it's written. But that is for them to discern, and it's just a decision for them to make, and then we'll just deal with whatever happens. But just keep that in mind that the only way that it can be guaranteed that someone who is nominated by us can stay on the ballot, for sure, is if they pay the fee. So that is what candidates need to know, so they're not caught off guard. If you are winding up in a conversation with potential candidates, that's probably the best thing to say. All right, thank you, Anastasia, for that reminder. Mr. Brown.
Oh, just in the last time you deputized me, they received the
Oh, yes.
applications. It's not right there in Austin. There's a place as says chair or designee receiving the.
Yes, that is true. So one more thing I forgot. If people need to be mailing, they can email them to me, and I can copy Ted, and I can copy Anastasia. They can email me their signed, notarized applications for nomination. They can mail them to the PO box that is on our website at the very bottom. Unfortunately, and this is something we got to address with you, I think, Mr. Coogan later, but our address, when people Google Libertarian Party of Texas, we're getting addresses all over the place, all over the place. It's insane. Addresses we haven't had for years. So always direct people to our PO box. We do not have a physical address. So anybody who's going to be mailing things needs to mail them to the PO box. I know, Mr. Brown, you still have the mail key.
Well, I do have the key.
Yes.
I tell people to mail them directly to me, so that's probably.
Well, then that makes you responsible for them.
I know they're there.
Yeah. That's up to you, but that's between you and those particular candidates. But we will be checking the mailbox, the PO box in Austin. Mr. Brown has a key. Thank you for that, for convenience. It's a 2 hour and 15 minute drive for me, but I am committed to doing it at least once a week until we get them all done. But just keep that in mind if you know people who are applying. And always, if they're mailing it, a heads up by email that it's on its way would also be very helpful. Because we don't want to miss any of those. Mr. Brown, anything else?
Yeah, the other thing was about the county chairs, for the county offices. It's not clear on the website. I was going to ask someone else about this when it came up, about whether we have a county chair or not in some of the counties.
Yeah.
And there's no county chair name on the website. There's a phone number sometimes, but sometimes it doesn't look like it's correct. And then you click on the website, it doesn't exist anymore. I haven't been able to tell people in a couple of cases they can even run because I don't know if they have a county organization or not.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a problem. It's not unclear we have a county organization.
Yes, and unfortunately, we also have counties that are not responsive sometimes too.
Right.
We're going to do the best we can with it, but try to communicate as much as possible with people about how this works, and we'll get it done. Anastasia, we completely railroaded your report there. Anything else for the secretary? All right. Treasury report.
It was posted yesterday, so sorry that it was tardy. We usually don't like to do that, but we're going to ask for a lot of grace from this quarter, from me and my bookkeeper. We had a quarter from health, in a lot of ways. So we've been working with Andrew in getting integration from our new credit card processor and Nation Builder on QuickBooks. What delayed it is we found out we were not using the same language. I knew that the integration app that we had been using with our previous credit card processor was able to be with Nation Builder and Stripe, but then came to find out it wasn't Stripe we were using, it was Stripe Express, which requires a whole other app integration from Nation Builder to QuickBooks. That has been initiated. It is in process. So by the end of this quarter, we should be 100%. Everything should be talking to our books. In the meantime, we have had to manually input. And again, because of other issues that arose this quarter, we just didn't have the time to manually input. Again, we appreciate the grace. The numbers are as accurate as we can make them. There's going to be a little bit of discrepancy here and there when you start seeing the department budgets when they get their department reports. And that's just because as we're manually inputting or as we are categorizing expenses, it might be accidentally being classified as one thing over the other. And so the money's there, it's just maybe under a different line item. And we haven't had the time to even go back and audit our own numbers, dealing with everything that we've been dealing with. So that's kind of it for us. If you have any more direct questions, again, just send them through text or through Discord, and because email, it still gets lost for me because we're still dealing now with 2 different credit card processors that are emailing me the spam of everybody's donation all the time. So things get lost. So if you do need to reach out, just text or Discord is going to be the best thing. And we're fine. The accounts are fine. Everything's good. We're still doing everything that we can to keep everything up to date. There's just a couple things that need to be audited and tweaked. But otherwise, we're good. We're good. I think that's it.
Any questions for the treasurer? Wow. Have you ever not used all your time?
I know. It was not a.
That was the grace.
There you go. Uh-oh, Carol's got a question.
This would be resolved by the next meeting.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Oh, that's on.
Yes, that is
And it
absolutely.
won't affect the convention.
No.
Okay,
Everything, if we just need a little bit more time. And that's it.
Thank you. All right. Mr. Wilford?
Between now and the next meeting, do we have any convention obligations upcoming that exceed $36,000?
No. We have a deposit that is due basically now, of under $5,000. And we have the $5,000 daily limit, so that will get handled today. Okay, anything else? All right.
Thank you.
Staff reports, Mr. Emily, you're up. We're early, sorry.
Okay.
This, didn't have time to print out what I was gonna say. I think we're okay. Honestly, just wanted to set a context. I know we'll have a lot to talk about later this afternoon about the budget. Wanted to kind of frame that for us.
Do you want this fixed?
Can I do that? Yeah, that would be very.
You have anything I need to show on the projector?
No, just want to set a little context and, the usual, like what's going on me. And from my point of view, we are we're looking at the budget later. Obviously, right now we're operating in the red. Don't know how many of y'all have experience with startup businesses, but this is not unusual. It's okay to be operating red if you have a plan, if you know what you're doing, or you know where you're headed. So I just went back up a little bit, raised a lot of money in 21, 22 with lifetime memberships and a really strong gala fundraise. Came out of that feeling pretty good about things. Though that's not necessarily repeatable stuff. So we've kind of seen that as we got into a real overachiever budget for this year, and then it's an off year. It's an odd year. No convention, and we've already picked up all the low-hanging fruit of all the people that were ready to become lifetime members. So we're adjusting to that. We've also had some setbacks, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. But let's see. In the meantime, so coming out of that, I had a lot of money, so we hired me. Thank you for that. And
Thank you for that.
And it started staffing up. And this is I've mentioned this before, I think, in reports, but this is the first time since I've been here, since 2017, that we have all our department director positions filled and are actually operating like full-blown staff. So that's, and we stopped looking for people because we're basically, that's it.
Yes, thank you, staff members.
Yeah, thank you, staff, for everybody that shows up and does the stuff we're doing. We have a couple more positions we can look for, but right now that's not, we're getting things done, so can't complain about that. First this year, we had a good fundraise for the Legislative Action Fund, and we saw an unprecedented level of activism, both at the Capitol. Thank you, give them hail, Kevin. Everybody who participated in our new mode, everybody who went to the counter, one person, and everybody who helped out with the email activism, that was a new thing, and we got a lot of activity there, learned some things from that, and making adjustments, and looking forward to the work we'll be doing. Special sessions have been kind of weird, and again, we've been looking at other stuff, but coming back to it in 2025, I think we'll be stronger than ever in terms of what we're able to do with that. So about that, everybody knows, because I keep talking about it, but this year, one of the things was our chronic problems with Civi, which ultimately failed to be unsupported. So as soon as we got out of session, we had to attend to that. We got on the nation builder program. It's expensive, but it's powerful. It enables us to do things. We're still troubleshooting that, making that work, in terms of getting it, talking to our different programs. Kate mentioned integrations. Awesome's working on that. The good news is Nation Builder's rolling out a bulk donor migration tool this month that will be the beta test for, and that's going to change. That's going to be a game changer. Yeah, Jean's doing like the happy dance back there because she's been spending way too much time calling up donors, trying to contact donors, get them to move to the new processor, and also continuing to move out these donor appreciation program rewards, which I'm happy she'll talk about this later, I'm sure. I don't want to steal your thunder, you talk about it. Anyway, so we got that. Oh yeah, so Nation Builders coming together, and we're working now on an end of year fundraise to kind of kick off 2024 and get that started. Get that started on the right foot. Got some good questions about the budget online, and I wanted to mention the big deal. I think the biggest question we'll want to look at. I think the reason I mentioned the thing about operating the red or burn rate is that we have to spend money to do the things we do, but to the extent that then that's how we build the party, that's how we grow our base, that's how we grow our donors, and having a functioning CRM system is going to be a big foundation for that. Billy asked about the change in projected income, which is the most significant change, I think, on the new budget. And that's a matter of being conservative, but being real about what our expectations are for 2024. We didn't bring in as much money as we had hoped we would in 2023, and we're not spending as much money as we said we would be able to in 2023. So we're keeping it real on that level. And I think 2024, we can reasonably expect to accomplish our goals there as we are able to manage our donor base and really ramp up and implement the major donor program that is really what Jenny should be working on. That's the deal. We got a taste of that when she brought in a big donor this summer. But that we want to see a lot more of that. So that's in the budget as well, that those numbers change a little bit based on our expectations. But yeah, I think we're in a great place coming out of the end of the year and looking forward to the things going on in 2024. Our intention with the beta test. Jane's can talk more about what her outlook looks like. All the department directors will give you the details on what's going on with them. For me personally, most of my attention right now, and say through the end of the year, for the foreseeable future, but through the end of the year, I think that's all I can foresee right now, is getting Nation Builder ironed out, getting the wrinkles ironed out, and getting the integration done, getting our financial accounting back on track. That it is I'll mention that too. I don't want to be as we go in the budget. It's keep in mind that there's always a trade-off. Everything we do, like there's an old joke about in software development, stuff like that. You can have it fast, cheap, or good. Now pick two. Like, because you can't have it all. You have to decide what your priority is, right? And for us, there's that same kind of overlap between the amount of money how we manage our relationships with our donors so that they're motivated and they feel good about supporting what we're doing with their money, how we manage our volunteers, and so they feel good about that they're not wasting their time, wasting their life, treading water and basically accomplishing nothing. And then what we accomplish, how we perform, what we're able to do out in the marketplace of ideas and the political arena. So that's always a trade-off. So just as you're looking at the budget, remember that as we look for cuts or as we look for things we can spend less money on, just keep in the back of your mind that there's probably a trade-off there where if we're not paying for a service or if we're not paying for the tools we need to do the job, then we're going to need a lot more volunteers and a lot more hours and a lot more input from that side of the balance, right? So, and that's something we really, Mike will talk more about that, about ramping up our volunteer recruiting and recruiting and training, so we can build our volunteer base as we continue to build our donor base. We'll be working on major donors. I'm working on Nation Builder right now, convention planning, obviously, and the convention process is going to be ramping up as we move forward. That's going to be a big deal. We'd like to see us go hard on this convention and make it a good convention, make it the kind of convention that major donors would like to come to and see if lightning strikes twice at the gala, see if we can make this a good convention for development. After we get through convention season, then we'll probably plan it. Joe and I will be talking more now than just back to Texas, and see if we can run another major legal fund push this summer to top that fund back up. Got to keep our lawyers happy and do their thing for us, keep us in the game, and and all of that will be in all the electioneering activity that's going on, all the campaign support that's going on. So that's about it. I would rather, I guess if anybody has a question about that, I'll be take a couple questions, but I'm trying to save us some time. What?
Andrew, briefly, thank you so much for answering my questions online. Appreciate your time. Thank you for your report. The legal expenses or the sort of legal budget, we're definitely cutting there. And I take to heart what you said about, if we're we don't have the donations, we don't have the income, there are things that we can't do. And so I see this pretty sizable cut in the funds for legal action. What are we, generally speaking, without going into strategy that would be inappropriate in this format, generally speaking, what are we not going to be able to do with that big budget cut? Are there things that we're going to miss out on?
No.
The short answer is no, and then maybe you and I can get together, and anybody else is interested, just hit me up after, so we're not, you know.
Right.
Right. Thank you. Cool. Anything else? Thank you for your time.
Having said that, we tend, as maybe has already been stated, we tend to do a good job of raising emergency funds when we need them for that kind of thing. So I don't anticipate any loss of services or anything. Great.
Morning, all. Morning. I'm going to just start off by apologizing. The reality is that I've had this job now for 4 months, and I often feel like I repeat Andrew when I get up here, and I'm going to try not to, because we are both working on Nation Builder, which, you know, he's absolutely correct, was the focus of Q3. I mean, it was roll it out, figure out where we got it wrong, go fix it, and then hit the next thing. So it is up and running. It's running for what we're using City CRM for. It has its own set of interesting things that we're getting used to. We continue to monitor performance on it. When you look at the budget later, I know there was a question earlier about can you break out website versus this versus that? And we certainly can, but that line item really is the total of software licensing as well as account management, as well as a variety of other value-added services we've got. So it is more expensive, and everyone in this room should be motivated to go use Nation Builder. I'll talk to that a little bit more. Regarding the staffing issue, we did fill in the one portion of my organization that we do have a lot of people in. We did manage to fill a space. DJ Kemet joined the IT group, so that's fully staffed right now. We've got, there was a non-trivial learning curve, right? I think, I don't remember who precisely it was, but there was it was Kyle. Hey, we need to go figure this out. We all self-taught, et cetera. So on the affiliates page, we had to make a variety of DNS changes to make sure stuff worked. There were typos, right? There's just normal, everyday, rolling out kinds of things we spent a lot of time on, as well as one-off requests, right? Event pages, we're gonna run a convention next year. That's got to work. So how do we make sure we've got the infrastructure ready to go host that? We've got the content to go do that. We need candidate forms, right? We need a way for folks to be able to contact us so that we can provide the appropriate support. Affiliate maintenance, John can send over a couple things to make sure that we're on top of who's actually allowed in a county and what the answer is there. And donation form revamps, we wanted to add some text around, what it's for those one-offs. That was, I don't have a question.
No, I was waiting to answer. Thank you.
To the point made earlier, Jack, we need to address persistent problems. We have problems as part of this transition. There's no question about it. We need to lock them down. Email is one of those. Right? That's not my phone.
It is.
I don't know whose it is, but okay.
So I'm not sure about what that issue actually is in the particular case of email. It does appear it's an antiquated platform, right? Remember that we're running two platforms. We're running both a forum on a website that exists in a hosting company, and we're running kind of a software as a service. The forum itself runs on a very, very old platform. And since we are a volunteer organization, people, there's not a large barrier to keep them from just saying, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. Out, and as we make these transitions, how do we make sure that they're seamless, right? It looks like we're going to want to transition to a modern platform. It turns out that it costs a little bit of money. It's going to be a little experimental. We're going to have to figure out what the performance it is for some of our hosting. But that's just part of running any IT organization, anywhere, in any context. And handling one-off requests, right now they go to either Andrew or they go to me. And I go out and say, hey, who can work on this? The team has been fantastic, you know. I am a night owl. Anyone who's watched when I post and what I do. I mean, I'll be up at 2 o'clock and Austin will be pushing code changes, right? I mean, it's around the clock support of this infrastructure that they're really doing, and they've done a fantastic job on a purely volunteer basis, right? Now let's focus a little bit on pieces and parts that aren't working as well as I perhaps would want to. And I want to be very clear here. I would like feedback, right? Y'all have been here for a while. If you have ideas, I need ideas, okay? The amount of volunteers have dropped off significantly, but that hasn't changed in a while. And that goes with the election cycle, right? People get jazzed because we got the president coming in, and there's noise about RFK, and there's noise about Justin Amash. Everybody gets all excited about this, that, and the other thing. And then they kind of let it go down and it comes back up. Well, so volunteers, that's expected. What we lack and what we need to get into Nation Builder is a way to bring in volunteers. Remember they exist. This is important also when we talk about outreach. We need someone, and so I'm asking you, if you know somebody, if you're willing to do it, we need someone to build a process in Nation Builder to capture names of people and what they care about, right? And there's gonna be times where, like, you know, my life got turned upside down 3 months ago, right? I got laid off at a major corporation where you pull back and you know, volunteering is very dynamic, as all of you would know, just sitting in this room. We need a lot more organization. We need to be able to track people. As a part of that, it's my cell phone is the default. Like if you get all the way through the phone tree by calling LP Texas, you end up at my cell phone, right? So you end up with me going, hello, how can I help you? And there are people there who are trying to volunteer that don't have email, that don't use the internet, and they want to get involved somehow. We just need a way to capture those folks and make sure we can, you know, again, working in private industry for a long time, monetize, in our case, really push them to help us. So again, this and the outreach that I'm going to talk about right now is I need your help to help me figure out what the right approach is here. I can do it, right? You're going to end up with something that doesn't look like what you would expect it to. That's just the reality of having multiple people working on things. On the outreach side, we've actually done quite a bit on outreach, quite frankly. It was underserved. We lost Claire. Claire Underwood was our coordinator. She decided life was complex and she needed to step away. Again, it's going to happen. It's going to happen repeatedly. So I spent all of my time in this space really working with Jenny Economy. Jenny is a college student, but she's very passionate about certain things. One of the things she's very passionate about is marijuana decriminalization. So we're able to work out with Dallas to have a presence for LP Texas there. Again, and we were also present. Jenny unfortunately was unable to be there this weekend. There's a Texas conference going on in Dallas this weekend. Waco. I'm in Houston. 20 minutes out north is Dallas.
You're right.
All right. Yeah, Waco, you're right. In Waco, we did get again, a significant presence at the affiliate level. It would be good to have a LP Texas presence there. In order to continue to have an LP Texas at these kinds of events, we need to get tight about what we care about, right? And this is where, I took accountability for an error that was made. It came up on the forum. It was Joe White said, hey guys, just let you know, these guys are pro-Russian guys. Hey, what are we doing here? Be sure we're clear. And I took that as something that I needed to get better at. So we do need to vet these folks. That one in particular, since, right, wrong, different, this is a political organization, it's composed of political people who deal at the political level. We gave the chair of national a ridiculous amount of heart for the anti-war thing because, you've got the chair of the national party and a bunch of people waving Russian flags behind her, which is probably not a good look. And we need to make sure that doesn't happen to us. So again, it's how do you create that strategy? How do you create that set of eyes that can go forward and look at it and make sure that we are investing in the right things? The other thing that I am interested in the outreach space was, for those of you who follow it, Justin Amash wrote a very good letter, in my opinion, about why he was not running for president this year. And it was political parties exist to run candidates, right? Not for assorted policies, which we all care about. That's why we are part of various parties. But the party itself should exist. So there's a certain amount of balance there that we need to make sure that we don't spend all of our money, supporting Texas or marijuana decriminalization or 2A rights or, against government mandates for whatever. Because we all care about those things, right? We do. But we need to have an open discussion about how do we want to support, right? Because right now I've got Jennifer. I would likely put a coordinator in over that, and then I've got some gaps in the volunteering space. But again, having to reach out to the individual county chairs, all of whom have been supported, by the way, but they're the folks who can bring people to go staff a booth, right? To have cards people to sign up for, hey, I know. We need to focus on volunteers, getting a staff in there. Mr. Bledsoe was helpful in getting the marijuana decriminalization with staff, right? But, you know, Jenny's one person. But it's something we were able to work with and move forward. Questions, thoughts, go?
Joe, I was at C-20 here, I just wanted to, emphasize, I wasn't at the last meeting, so I didn't hear your last report, but one of the things, speaking as a county executive also, that I would really like to see get in place, and I know that there's been talk about it, is finding some way to automate when someone at the state level goes on the website and indicates interest in volunteering, if there were a way to directly funnel that to the county executives where they are, that would be something that would be extremely helpful for us to get right on that and to bring them in. And I mean, I understand our responsibility as far as the events page, we have a responsibility on our end to contribute to the state, but, you know, if that comes in, and we don't see it, we don't see it for 3 weeks, 3 months, that's a totally that just.
Right, we just wander off.
Nation Builder has that capability. We've been using Nation Builder for years, and we have it set up so that when someone goes on the LP Harris website, and signs up to volunteer, it sends an email to however we can put in people to say, you're now the point person for this volunteer.
Right.
And so it should be just a matter of changing the email address.
It does that.
I think Joe brings up an interesting question though, in that I think you're looking for logic, right? So I've gotten a couple phone calls.
Yes, because what Billy's talking about is obviously really contact at the county level. That's
Right,
but a
you
lot
want
of
it to
times-
happen at the,
Well, they're either going to the national site or they're going to the LPTexas.org website, and so if there's just a way to
I
automatically.
know someone wants to go to Harris, for example.
Well, so it's when they go to lpharris.org that our folks get emails saying someone has volunteered to go use them. And so I know that it exists within Nation Builder that LP Texas has just adopted. And it shouldn't be that big of a stretch to, instead of pointing it, you let them select what county they're in, and then it automatically emails that county chair. It should be, that is a function that exists within Nation Builder.
And I'm certain it does, but to Joe's point, we don't have that implemented.
And
We all know when
We can look
volunteers.
in our
I
Nation
get it.
Builder and figure out how we did it, because it happened before, I don't know how we did it.
But you really want the logic, right? Which is what I do on the telephone.
And especially if it's automated, I know that
Right.
personnel wise, it's, having to go manually, if we just went to the volunteer coordinator and to kind of,
So we see them, but that doesn't actually help, Joe, is what he's telling me, which isn't unreasonable.
Mr. Wilford and Mr. Westbrook.
Mr. Westcott was first, actually.
Mr. Westbrook, yes.
Well, I'm gonna ask questions about other things that Mr. Wilford's question pertained to what was just being discussed, but I'll defer to him.
Yeah, so, more statement than anything, the capabilities of Nation Builder with regard to sending emails for volunteers is what's called a path. And without getting into the details of that, you basically set up a set of actions you want someone to go through, one being a volunteer, and then you put a point person for each path. The problem we ran into last time, I expect us to hit again, with Nation Builder is, it is a point person per path. So either you have to make a different path for every conceivable type of volunteer in county that someone could go to, and that's a different point person, which is incredibly complex and a huge deal to manage, or you have a person on staff whose whole job is to take in all those volunteers, decide who it goes to, and forward that email. So that's really our options right now, unless something changes with Nation Builder.
That makes sense.
Okay, so you kind of answered my question that I asked earlier, but I want to make sure that and I have some other things that I want to ask as well. But what I heard you say is that the problem we have with this email situation is that we're dealing with an antiquated platform, and that our solution is to spend money on something new. Did I understand correctly?
Close. Close enough for discussion, let's just say that.
All right. How does that help us in the immediate situation? Does it, or?
Well, we continue to attempt to debug the immediate situation, right? And do you want to speak to it at all, Austin, or?
Most of us, I think there's like 2 of us that have, And long story short is we have no control over which version of the software we install when we load it, when we make a config change, it just goes and fetches the latest thing. What happened last time is it fetched a beta version. We can't downgrade to the previous version that we're on, we can't specify which version we want. And their stuff is broken. I reached out to them and they're volunteer, open source software as well, they don't have a dedicated staff, so it's just kind of like, who is going to eventually take a look at that thing and we have no control over it, so.
So what I heard you say, just to be clear, is that we have a problem with our forum, using our forum and the email process that we use is broken and we can't fix it.
That's correct.
Yes.
We have a problem that we need to address in that regard, and I hope somebody's on top of that.
We are replacing the forum software with new things.
Fantastic, that's what I hadn't heard, that I wanted to hear.
I saw, oh, sorry. You're welcome.
Yeah, I still have some other things. You mentioned nation building, y'all kind of discussed that, so I won't ask that. My next thing that I'm really interested in, this just has to do with my management style. That may not be what we're doing here, and you can correct me on the direction we're going. And I probably asked this before, just because that's the way I operate. And so and I heard you do this a little bit in terms of how our goals and objectives as the Libertarian Party of Texas are tied to those things that you're working on in terms of operations and that sort of thing. So my question to you is, if someone were to come to you and say, please connect this action that we're taking right now, and one of the ones you mentioned was political parties and running candidates. So tying that to the things that we're actually working on and doing. And I'm not asking you to do that now, but do you think you could, if someone put you to the test and said, okay, here's our mission, our objectives, our vision, can you tie all that with what we're doing to these things that we're working on?
Right. I believe we could.
Okay, good.
I don't think it's trivial, and I think there would be a little bit of, kind of like we underlie all these processes, right? So while it may not be obvious, we need income, right? And so to get income, we need someone to pay us. Then it has to go to the person who remembers that they paid us, that would be Ginny. And it has to get to the person that actually has their bank account.
The reason
So that's what we do.
is that sometimes in these kinds of things, we and you've given me confidence that we're doing that. That's all I need to know in that regard. Thank you.
We are out of time on this item. There were 3 more people in the queue.
Motion to extend for 5 minutes and deal with the queue of questions already established.
Any objections? 5 more minutes to deal with the 3 people who are in line. Wonderful. I saw Mr. Marino and Mr. Bradley at the same time.
Can I?
So if you saw it. If you gentlemen want to sort that out.
Is there any plan, or what are the hurdles to support county affiliates with websites and candidates? That's question number 1. I have one more.
So I am not certain, right? I'm struggling with that in general, with, how we manage a lot through affiliates, but the fact of the matter is the resources that state can take and apply to your problem are generally dramatically more. I don't know the answer to that. I have an opinion, right? But I would look to Whitney and others who have dramatically more experience than I do in this forum to help me with that. Hey, Andrew.
So,
Andrew, he's gonna bail me out.
well, we have resources in the plan. We can, and that's very much part of the long-term strategy. Right now, we don't have the bandwidth and the resources to do that. We may be able to help. We may focus coming up here in the future on some of the candidates, but it gets weird trying to figure out how to do that. But I mean, nation building to do that. We are subscribed at a level that gives us the bandwidth and nation building to do that. We need
either. Please note that's what we're on, more volunteers that also make that happen.
So I suspect that it's time and money. So money for more bandwidth, time as far as more volunteers. So if you need
I want to be
volunteers.
clear before we go on, Andrew, you were talking about bandwidth from a person perspective, not a network perspective.
Yeah.
Correct. So we did upgrade. No, he means really like just people to be.
Either the volunteers
handled.
we have need to
Right.
do some projects and then they can move on to that, or we need more volunteers.
And we applied money to get an account manager who has bandwidth somewhat dedicated to us.
Those are still promises we are not in a position to make. And even if we get to that point, the candidate one would be extremely limited to just the ones who have been nominated, obviously. So
Right.
we have to have some very explicit policies about how we extend that, because that would be considered a contribution as well, so, to the candidates.
And for IT volunteers, do you offer training or do they already have to know what they're doing?
I'm sorry?
For IT volunteers, like people that help manage Nation Builder
Mhm.
and stuff, do you think you can get training or do you already need somebody that already knows how to operate?
So I brought one person on, DJ, that was someone Austin knew. And he just jumped into it and said, let's move forward.
Because I can help,
Okay.
but I don't know what I'm doing. But I have the time. So if somebody's got the time to train me, you know.
Nation Builder has robust tutorials on all
Yeah.
sorts of stuff. If you've got the time to sit through it and like figure out what video to go watch and watch it, you can learn how to do anything you want to on Nation Builder.
Yeah, and certainly IT staff are also
Yes,
volunteers,
there's
so it's whether or not we have the time to
Right.
Yeah.
to train people and also the time to do our stuff.
And we have things that are still broken, right? And the reality is if current functionality is broken, you have to pay attention to that.
Every county affiliate is free to do what we do, and that's stand up an IT committee at the county level and pursue solutions at the county level or partner with neighboring affiliates to get that work done. Spoiled, right? Yeah, we didn't do anything to recruit it or cultivate it or earn it. Yeah, we're just spoiled. Thanks. Noted.
Ms. Marino, do you have any further? Ms. Bradley?
So I do have 3 questions for you, mostly based off the budget. Promise they're gonna be quick questions. For Zoom, we're asking to go from $400 to $500 to pay for Zoom. Looking at the subscriptions to Zoom, the highest subscription is $25 a month, but we're paying $41 under the new budget. I'm just trying to figure out what the extra $16 is there.
So my understanding is that was a straight line prediction from last year. And it shouldn't be under operations, I don't believe.
It has to go to the operations department. It's going from
Okay.
$400 to $500. If I can, would that be a Kyle Ward question?
No, that would probably be an Andrew question. So it was moved, I think, Andrew, this is a change that we just made like this past week, moving the Zoom thing, the conferencing network or the conferencing platforms to operations so that it's more like, because it was isolated under a particular department that was very specific. And it appears then that it belongs to that particular department. So even though we're moving it to operations, it's still more like overarching opportunity for the other departments to use it as well. Just feels more like an operations thing than a affiliate support thing.
Okay.
So that's why it's moved, that's why you made that one.
Right.
But that was a very recent change. The amount would be a question for whoever manages that. I don't know how.
Move 5 more minutes for this list.
Yes, we have,
Second.
okay, any objections, 5 more minutes? Still only have one person after Mr. Bradley.
Second question I have is about a storage unit. We have a projected $1,800 to $150 a month for a storage unit.
Right.
What is the plan to put in there, or is it still currently being built now?
I can answer that.
Yes, ma'am.
There are 4 households, raise your hand if you have LP Texas property in your house.
I have too much.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and Jody, 6. 6 households right now are currently housing lots and lots of property that belongs to.
Are we looking for a specific area for that storage?
We're not at this time. It is obviously something that the location of it previously was not convenient. The conditions at that place were not appropriate. appropriate. So and they were about to make it $100 a month for us, so we pulled that because it just wasn't a good thing. And so since then, we just kind of, whatever the stuff is, just has been housed by whoever is mostly responsible for it or going to be using it. I believe we do need an option, but figuring out what the best one is the tricky part, because there is no central location for us.
In reality, we need like 6.
Yeah, in reality, we need like regional ones, and then they would all be obviously smaller, but climate control is a huge factor. It has to be climate control, and it needs to be accessible to whoever is going to be at this meeting all the time, and that changes depending on who's in these director positions or who's, on the executive committee. So it is a decision that is just kind of complicated. So right now, no specific plan for any particular area. We don't always have our meetings in Austin, so it doesn't necessarily make sense to have it there. So it is, but it is in the budget just because it's something we need to be considering, because it's not, this having 6 households hold this stuff is not sustainable.
And to give you an idea of how bad it's become, right, we were going to mostly text it, event this weekend. And so as part of that, we're like, okay, we need a tablecloth, we need a couple of cards, just the stuff you would put on a table, right? And then we've got Andrew throwing a bunch of stuff in the back of his car, trying to meet up with Jenny here, and so that it's not the right thing to do. It's just the wrong thing to do.
The last question.
He'll get it done. Tomorrow.
I have one last question for you. So your discretionary this year was $1,000.
Yeah.
Was that the right amount? Would you say you needed more or less than that $1,000, or you think the $1,000 was the right amount?
$1,000 is approximately correct, and it's primarily driven by the belief that has not been proven yet, but that's why it's discretionary, that we could use additional resources to help host the forum. And we don't know what that is, right? We just don't. We think we need more, we're not sure what it is, so.
Today? That's it. All right, Mr. Wilford.
Yeah, I have to monitor really quick, and I think it's best directed in Austin. I heard when you were talking about kind of our hopeful solution for the forum issue, you said new software. Is that going to entail us changing platforms? And will the old platform be deleted so we again lose that block of history of that discussion?
So we're looking at a new forum software called Zen Forum, which actually does have an import feature from Discourse. It doesn't currently support the version that we were forced upgraded to, but I have access to those scripts, so I can customize it. It might take a little bit of work on my side, but I don't intend on losing all of that history.
Thank you, that's my question.
All right. That concludes the operations.
I'm sure. And as it's only 10:30, I move that we change the agenda to include the development report and the political action report before we go lunch.
I'm gonna say that doesn't require a motion. I think we just keep on going until the time that we have in place for lunch, which is 11:30. I will say though that people probably need to go potty right now. We have a motion for 15-minute recess. Any objection to that? Mr. Wilford? Okay, so 15 minutes, let's call it 10:44.
You can object. Who said that? No, for you. I do.